Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear learners. I am Dr. Manisha Goswami, working as an assistant professor at Institute of Business Management, GLA University, Mathura. Today we are going to start with our lecture number 13th, and the topic for today is Organizational Change and Innovation. So before we proceed with this lecture of organizational change and innovation, let us dive deep into what we had done so far in our previous 12 different lectures. So from the very beginning, if I let you know that when we were trying to understand the concept of strategy, we got to know that ethical behavior, transparency, accountability under the corporate governance, it is must for the top management to adhere to. Then we also get into the detailing that whether you are framing the strategy on the basis of your whimsicals or on the basis of what others are doing is not going to pave your way. So you have to have a fair idea about the external environment, internal environment, what are the different opportunities, threats, strength and weakness are prevailing in the market, and based on that you have to take the right permutation combination between your strength and the opportunities available in the market. And that's not just a one-time job. You have to continuously keep on and regularly observing the environmental changes, and if you fail to do so, you won't be able to grab the changes, and you won't be able to understand the difference which are coming up in the market trends, or the change in the taste and preferences, or the change in the technology. So if you really want to find out what are the different changes taking place, how the market dynamics is getting changed, you need to keep on assessing the environment. You need to keep an eye over your internal environment. You have to keep an eye over the external environment also, macro environment as well as micro environment. On the basis of this data, you will be in a position to create the corporate strategy of your organization. There are 3 different levels of strategy, my dear students. I'm sure you must be well versed with now with the levels of the different strategy. One is the corporate strategy, which is going to be formulated by whom? The top management. Middle level management strategies are the business strategies, which are created by the middle level managers, and the functional strategies are the strategies which are created by the operational level people. So when top management is framing the corporate strategy, he has having 3 key issues in the mind. One is the directional strategy, second is the portfolio strategy, third one is the parenting strategy. And within the direction strategy, there are 3 another important aspects to be taken care of, whether to give the directions towards the growth, stability or retrenchment, and that is going to foretell the entire story, whether the environment is favorable to the organization or not. A lot of fluctuations are there in the environment, or unfavorable conditions are there. If unfavorable conditions are there, the top management is going to give the direction of retrenchment. If a lot of fluctuations are there in the external environment, then the top management is going to give the direction of stability, and when things are favorable, then they will go for the growth strategy. And there are various other different types of the growth strategy, like concentration, diversification, and within diversification it is also a concentric diversification when you are trying to diversify in a related line, and when you try to diversify into unrelated line, it will be termed as a conglomerate diversification. And the same is the case in case of stability also, that when you are trying to find out which particular stability strategy suits to your organization, then for this you have to see where exactly your product is lying in the quadrant of a GE matrix or a BCG matrix. Based on that, you can take a call, either I should go for a no change strategy, or I should go for a pause and proceed, hit and trial mechanism, or a profit making strategy. And also when you are in a tough time, when the lot of unfavorable conditions are there, a lot of threats are there, then what you have to do, you have to go for the retrenchment strategy. And for identifying which particular retrenchment strategy is going to be more suitable, again you have to look back to your portfolio analysis, where you have analyzed by using the technique of BCG and GE matrix that in which particular quadrant your product is lying. Is it suitable for going for the turnaround strategy, or is it suitable for going for the divestment, disinvestment, liquidation, captive company strategy? These are all different options available in front of the top management to take the right call based on the situation of your product in the market, or based on the responses or the forces coming towards the organization. Then further we got to know that after getting a clarity that what is the corporate strategy, the middle level managers are going to create the business strategy, and business strategies are meant for creating an impact in the market, and these are created in order to show to the entire organization that how exactly we are going to position a product, or how exactly we are going to position the image of a company in the market, or in the psychology or the mindset of the customer, how we are going to compete in the market, what different channels or mechanism we will be using in order to create a difference in the market. That all come under the business strategy. And there are 3 different important levels of the business strategy, like cost leadership, differentiation, focus, and within the focus there is a cost and differentiation, right? So you have to see based on the indications, based on the direction you have received from the top management, accordingly the middle level manager is going to adopt the strategy, whether to go for cost leadership, differentiation, or focus on cost, or focus on differentiation. Then once this business strategies are formulated, the next level comes is the functional level strategy, where actual action has to take place. Whatever you are thinking, whatever you have jotted down on paper, whatever you have thought of, that this is how the things will take place, and when it comes to a functional strategy, the real application of the strategy will start taking place. Here the lower level people, the heads of the different department, are really going to see how they are going to execute what you are expecting from them, and they try to match the expectation of the top management. And here under the functional strategy, we got to know that each and every department should live in close coordination, should have a cohesiveness among each other, should interact between that. There should be some interaction between the department, there should be the interaction within the department, so that they can sense out that how things are taking shape, how things are getting executed in the market. And then after the functional strategy, we got to know that it is also important to have a fair assessment of the different choice of the strategy. You cannot always look for the best strategy, or the strategy which is best for the other may not be best for your organization. So you need to be very mindful in terms of selecting a correct strategy for your organization. Like there are certain parameters which should be taken care of while taking a final decision that this particular strategy I will go for, and that parameter is feasibility, suitability, and acceptability. Feasibility talks about, by and large, if we just have a review of what we had done under this feasibility, suitability, acceptability criteria. Feasibility talks about the financial well-being, whether I'll be in position to afford this particular strategy or not. Suitability talks about the current trends or the situations or the market scenario, the market dynamics, how the different competitors are moving in the market. That's going to come under your suitability. And then acceptability, that whether the stakeholders will be happily accepting the kind of the change or kind of the strategy you are willing to adopt. The existing infrastructure of your organization will be able to execute the strategy which you are looking for, or it require a heavy investment. So all these kind of the questions or the checklist you are going to prepare, you are going to find out the correct answers of it, and if it suits to your organization, then only the particular strategy is going to be a best strategy for you, irrespective of the fact that it may not be best for the other organization. So ideally, each and every organization is having their own core competency, they have their own skill set, they have their own set of the strength and the weaknesses, and based on that they should take the call that this particular strategy is good for the organization. Strategy is nothing just the art of winning the war without fighting. It is just like a master plan of action. It is a hallmark when you are winning without fighting, physically fighting, and when you are winning the fight without actually putting the brutal force in the market. It's a hallmark of a great strategy. So you need to use your intellectual ability, you have to use your intelligence, you should use your influential power, you should use your positioning tactics, you should use your psychological tactics in order to create a difference in the market. Thereafter, we got to know that it's not going to be suffice that if you confine your focus towards one country, because in the dynamic world, every next country is collaborating with other country. The government are coming together, they are having a good congenial relation, and they are looking for the expansion of the market. They are looking for the expansion of their company from one nation to another. And if you try to confine your thought process within one nation, then there is a possibility that you are reducing the possibility of the growth of your organization. So if you really want to amplify the opportunities for your own organization, you should look towards the global market. And for that, we discussed the various global strategy, and we also got to know what are the different techniques or the entry modes for the people to enter into the international market. Where your level of the risk is very low, then you can go for the export strategy, either through direct exporting or indirect exporting. There are different ways of FDI also, like greenfield investment, greenfield development, brownfield investment, merger, acquisition, joint venture, strategic alliance, turnkey operation, board, production sharing. These are all the examples of the different brownfield investment, where you try to not to find the business or the plant in the host country, and you really want to find out a company who is already doing a good job in the foreign market, and you want to establish the business with them. So you get into some sort of partnership. And in case of a greenfield investment and development, you try to start a business from the very scratch. You want to create your own subsidiary in the host country. So when you are establishing a business unit in some special economic zone area or export processing zone area, and trying to help the government to get some possibilities of improvising the rural area of that country, then you are investing in a greenfield development. And government give lot of rebate and relaxation to such investors who are helping the government to improve the countryside. So, and that this kind of the FDI will come under the greenfield development. And if you are investing in any metro city or the tier 1 city or the tier 2 city which is not listed in a special economic zone area or export processing zone area, then it will come under the greenfield investment. But you are starting your business from scratch. In a brownfield investment, you are not starting a business from scratch. You are trying to get into some partnership with existing company of that host country. Then we also got to know that after the formulation of a strategy, one thing which is very important is to put the things into action, and a lot of the role has already been played by the functional level strategy. Now, under the strategic implementation, we'll try to see what could be the possible factors which can hinder the actual implementation of the strategy in the market. So we got to know that structure could be one factor which can hinder the implementation. If a structure is not complementing with the strategy of the organization, then the structure will never allow you to execute the strategy. As per the Chandler thesis, it is very clearly mentioned in his PhD thesis that whatever the changes you are bringing in the strategy, because strategy determines the structure and structure affects the strategy. So if you are bringing a change in the strategy, you should bring the subsequent change in the structure. And if subsequent change in the structure has not been brought, then that particular thing is going to impact the entire equation of execution of strategy. And within that, we also discuss the 7S framework, which makes you to understand that it's not only about the structure. There are other remaining important S also, like system is there, shared value is there, style is there, skill is there, right? And the different other opportunities are also there, which are going to impact the real execution of the strategy in the organization. And 7S framework help you to understand the right time for bringing the change in the organization. Thereafter, we got to know that the functional level and the behavioral level of implementation are also very essential to be taken care of before putting the things into action. If you are expecting your workers to perform, if you are not providing the required resources to them, do you think they will be able to function well? So the right allocation of the resource to the different levels of the function, and understanding the behavior and the understanding the psychology of the people and helping them to get out of the problem of the resistance is really going to pave your way. And this is what we had done so far. I'm sure you will be able to recall what we had done in our previous 12 lecture. Now we are heading towards our 13th lecture. And this lecture is talking about the importance of change and the innovation. Now, the learning objective of this lecture is to understand the fundamental concept of organizational change and innovation, their impact on business success, and strategies for effective implementation. So, you must be able to appreciate by the end of this lecture that how important is to be very vigilant and have an eye upon the other companies or the other strategists or the other people who are there in the market and having some or the other stake, and which is going to be very very helpful for you to really sense out that how the market is moving out, how market is taking a shape, how market is changing, what different trends are coming up, what different policies are coming up, what different other new products are there in the market, how customers are reacting to it. So by the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand all those aspects. Let's proceed with the basic understanding of what organizational change is. So organizational change refer to the process by which companies adapt to evolving market condition, technological advancement, or internal restructuring. So if there are certain changes which are taking place in the market and you quickly adapt yourself with those changes, then there is a possibility that you will be able to last for long, you will be able to survive and sustain. But if you fail to do so, then your failure is at your threshold. This is what happened in case of a big giant like Nokia. They fail to accept the change in the market. They remain very stubborn in terms of making use of the Nokia Symbian operating system, which was becoming so outdated. And that was not very user friendly. And Apple iOS phone was launched in the 2007, Google launched Android in 2008, and a lot of other companies started adopting the Android, and Apple continued with their closed ecosystem of iOS. But you as a Nokia, being such a big giant, having a 85% of market share, don't you have a sense that market is changing? And why, if you have a sense, then why you didn't adopt the change which is taking place? And even if in the year 2011 you try to change from Symbian operating system, that too in a window where the applications of the window developer and the user friendliness of a window was not that much good, and it was not so user friendly. The window phones were not user friendly as compared to Android, as compared to iOS. So you have to see that how the dynamics of the market is getting changed, and according to the change in the environment, you should keep on upgrading yourself. If you fail to assess the change of the market, you may fail, no matter how big or no matter how big giant you were in the market. So innovation play a crucial role for such kind of the change, because you need to keep on innovating, you keep on finding out what new, what is going to come, how I am going to incorporate the change in my product, how I am going to incorporate the change in my process, how I am going to incorporate the change in my entire business model. So that kind of a sense everyone should have, right? Because when you are in a market, you are walking on a roller coaster, right? Every now and then there will be lot of threats, there will be lot of opportunity for you, but this is how you are taking up. So you need to have a very mindfulness towards how the different things are taking shape around you, and accordingly you should plan and strategize your course of action, that what sort of innovation is must for my product. Otherwise, no matter how big you are, no matter how big giant you are, no matter how much percentage of market share control you have, you will not be able to survive and sustain, because you fail to change yourself, you fail to innovate, you fail to meet out or give the product as per the taste and preferences of the customer. So innovation play a crucial role in ensuring organizations stay competitive. This lecture will explore the various types of the change, key driver and strategy for the success of a company. So let's try to dive deep into it. What are the different types of the organizational change? So any organization, based on their setup, based on their capacity, based on their core competency, can take a call that either I should go for some structural changes, or I should go for some transformational change, or I should go for some incremental change, or the change is going to be a very planned or unplanned. So let us try to understand the various different types of the changes which an organization can pursue. Like first is the planned versus unplanned changes. Planned are when you are foreseeing that particular change is happening, and for that particular change you start preparing yourself, that let us start working on and let us start creating a setup. Maybe let us try to bring some change in my product, let us put some money in R&D to come up with a better feature, let us start working on a battery, because this is a market of a EV, right? In 2018 IOCL able to identify that there is going to be a huge requirement of a battery backup system, because automobile sector is shifting from the conventional mode like petrol, diesel to e-vehicles. So there will be a huge demand, and we want to get ready for meeting out those demands of the automobile sector. So they start investing a lot of money in developing a quality battery backup system. They started upgrading their petrol pump stations with electric charging point. and had a vision of becoming a best battery provider by 2040. So this is your planned approach, right? You are sensing that some change is going to take place in the near future, and based on that you are taking some strategical changes in your organization. So planned change are structured international. These are the structural and intentional changes initiated by the leadership to achieve the long-term goal. Planned change like Tata Motors strategic shift towards the e-vehicle with Tata Nexon EV aligning the sustainability trend and the government policies. Next could be your unplanned, when some contingency happens, some tragedy happens, some tragic situation like COVID-19 happened. People were not prepared for it. And when you take an immediate course of action immediately to get rid of the problem which is coming up and cropping up in the organization, that will come under the unplanned change. Occur when suddenly, due to unforeseen circumstances like market shift, economic downturn or the crisis, will lead the organization to go for unplanned change. For example, COVID-19 forced restaurants, malls, business to shift rapidly to digital payment, online ordering, accelerating digital transformation, and a lot of education institutions start making use of Zoom and start making use of online platform for conducting the online classes, right? So that was an unplanned. People were not earlier planned for this. Because of COVID-19, people learned a lot of other avenues of start doing the business and start serving the customer in a better way. Then other type of the organizational change is the transformational change or the incremental change. Transformational change take place and it is a well drafted and well curated change, right? So and it is not going to happen over the night. It will take some time to really bring the transformational change in the organization. Like in 2018, IOCL is planning to come up with the best battery support provider to the different automobile sector of a country is going to become a transformational change. They started working on it and they have a vision of a complete 22 number of years. So transformational change are significant radical shift that alter the organization entire operation culture and the positioning. So transformational change like Reliance Jio entry into the telecom sector in the year 2016 was not just like that over the night they thought of coming up of entering into the telecom sector. They rather started their assessment, their studies of the telecom sector, what different regulatory authorities of India are, what different infrastructure of India is, what kind of the services the customer are getting, how many network service provider companies are there in our country. So they started all such assessment from the very 2010, and they continued to do their survey and study till 2015, and thereafter they were in a position to take a call that we will be entering into the telecom sector. So in 2016, they disrupted the entire industry by offering the free call and cheap data, forcing competitors to change their business model over the night. Then another one is the incremental change, that is a small continuous improvement over the time. So incremental change like small patches, you are bringing a change and then you are trying to see how this change is adjusted with the existing system or the setup of the organization, as in case of Infosys is believing in coming up with small incremental change in the organization, and then they see the larger impact of those changes towards the profitability and the growth of the organization. So like Infosys gradually adopted AI, cloud computing, automation, improve IT service over time without completely overhauling the entire structure. So very slow and steady is the approach and mechanism of coming up with the incremental changes. Another type of the organizational change is a strategic change and a structural change. But let me tell you students that whenever you are bringing a change, there will be a change in a structure for sure. It is not going to happen any time. It's not going to happen that you are bringing a change in the strategy, but it is not going to impact the structure. It is not going to happen at all. So whenever a change in a strategy is happening, it is going to impact the structure. And if you are not bringing the subsequent change in the structure is going to adversely impact the strategy. So as per the Chandler PhD thesis, it is mentioned that strategy determines the structure and structure affects the strategy. So strategic change is a shift in the organizational long-term vision, goal or the market approach. So Flipkart pivoting from online book retailer to a full-fledged e-commerce giant, later expanding into the grocery and fintech like Flipkart Pay Later. So all these things are the example of a strategic shift, but based on that strategic shift or the change, they have incorporated the change in the structure also. Earlier, the structure might be very single strand. Now they have a multiple product lines to really take care of, and they are serving in a broad domain. So they have to expand their structure also. They have to change the structure type also. Another one is a structural change, which is going to be the by impact of the strategic change. That's change in the organization hierarchy, reporting structure, and operational flow. So Air India restructuring after its acquisition by the Tata Group, appointing a new CEO, revising the reporting structure, integrating the Vistara. And in the same case, we have seen in our SBI Bank also, where overhauling of the entire SBI Bank took place when SBI Bank was adopting the automation. So it was a complete change in the structure, right? Then there are certain models of the changes. What are those different models of the changes, and why it is important to have an idea? Because based on these different three models, you can take a decision that this particular standard model can really pave my way to execute the change in the organization in a very step-by-step manner, and I don't have to really put much effort to see whether I am moving on the right direction or not, because these steps are going to navigate your entire direction for the smooth change in the organization. Because if change is very rigid, or the change, because most of the time it has been observed that change is not going to be the thing which people are going to readily accept, right? So you have to bring the acceptance of the change in the organization, and if you want to bring the acceptance of the change in the organization, you really have to see that how smooth your execution of the change is. So for bringing the smoothness in the execution of change, so that none of the worker working in the organization or different stakeholders in the organization feel like that something is hurting, something is creating the trouble in their comfort zone, or something is really encroaching in their day-to-day activity. So you have to bring the change in the organization, and the change is inevitable undoubtedly, but change should be smooth also. If you are trying to make the change very harsh, then it is going, you may face certain repercussions, or you may face certain rejection or resistance from the side of the people or the employees working in the organization. So all these models are they are going to help you to get certain steps, and those steps are going to really navigate how smoothly you can incorporate the change in the organization. So let's start with the first, which is Kotter's 8-step model, focus on creating urgency, building team, and sustaining the changes. Let us first look into this, and then we'll proceed to the Levin and ADKR model. Now let's look at the Kotter 8-step model of bringing the change in the organization. For this, we will also try to see how Reliance Jio has brought the changes in the organization, keeping this particular Kotter's 8-step model. So first is create an urgency, right? Is there any urgency of coming up with the change? So first you have to really identify whether there is a need to bring the change in the organization or not. If there is no need of bringing the change in the organization, then why you are messing up, why you are creating a trouble for your people in the organization? It is always advisable, don't go for the change. Why unnecessary you are creating a tough time for the people working in the organization? So first you have to identify that why it is so inevitable, why it is needed, what is the urgency of coming up with the change in the organization. And then the moment you've gone through the deep understanding of this first very step that create the urgency, you will generate a sense of urgency to push for the change. You will let the people know that why it is so important to bring the change in the organization, and if the particular change has brought up smoothly in the organization, how positively is going to impact the organization and each and every people working in the organization, right? So if you fail to bring the importance of bringing the change in the organization, and that importance of bringing the change in the organization should be brought up by whom? The leader of the organization. And this is what we had discussed under the behavioral implementation of strategy. When you are trying to implement certain new things in the organization, the leader has to be wise enough to sense out that how he will be convincing the rest of the people working in the organization, how he will make the people understand that how important this particular change is, not for only the organization but also for the well-being of the people working in the organization. organization. So urgency has to be created. See here the Reliance Jio example, what it states that India telecom industry was expensive and data starved. That means the people were not having the access to the data. Only during the midnight or the odd hours, maybe early at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. Early at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. they used to give the free data services to their customer, that too just for 1 hour or 4 hours. So there was a lot of data starvation. People were very hungry, and this is what Reliance Jio has observed, that during the normal days when data services are not free by any of the telecom sector, India rank 150th out of 195 different nations in terms of the usage of the data. But the moment they get free data services by Airtel, no matter how odd the hour is, maybe in the midnight or maybe early in the morning, like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, despite of that, people wake up during the odd hours to put their mobile phone on download for downloading the music or the song or different things what they want to see. So they saw that there is a drastic shift from 150th rank to the 70th rank, right? That means there is a shift. The people are hungry for the data, and this what he sends out, that there is a hunger for the data in the Indian market, and none of the 14 telecom sector, none of the telecom service provider in India out of 14 is looking for providing the data service. And that's how they created the urgency, that there is a need of coming up with certain service which is going to provide that free data service to their customer. So before Jio mobile data price were among the highest in the world, Mukesh Ambani identified the opportunity and created urgency by emphasizing the need for affordable high-speed network services for everyone. Then second step comes under the quarter, that is a form a powerful coalition. You have to have a strong coordination, and you have to develop who all are the people going to help me in really make this vision successful, or who are going to help me to make this thought into the reality. So bring a strong leadership team to drive the change, because if you don't have a strong leadership team, this kind of a change cannot be brought up. And you may not be having all the resources in your organization. In the case of India, like when it comes to the infrastructure of a telecom service provider, the infrastructure was not so good. Reliance started thinking of that there is a need of advancement in the technology for providing the better data services to the customer, and they get into optical fiber, which increased the speed 10 times, where the existing Airtel service providers were providing 4 terabyte per second, and with the optical fiber they promised to provide you 40 terabyte per second speed. So there is a need in change in the infrastructure. So you need to have some good leaders in your organization. You need to have some good connections with the different other companies who are going to really help you to get the required infrastructure or the resource for making your vision possible. So Reliance formed a strong team of telecommunication and the technology and business expert, including investment in infrastructure, spectrum acquisition, partnership with global tech, giant like Samsung, Nokia and Ericsson. Because if they would not be able to get the support from the companies who are very big giant, it would not be that easier for a company to really start from the very scratch and come up with such a big idea or the huge idea of really serving the customer with free data services. So they really need to partner with global tech giants like Samsung, Nokia and Ericsson. Create a vision for the change that define a clear and compelling vision. Jio vision was Digital India for every Indian, aiming to provide low-cost 4G connectivity, affordable smartphone, and from free data service to transform the way Indians use the internet. So this is how they set their vision, and this particular vision is going to become a course of action for each and every people working in the organization, because they will work hard to attain that vision. Vision really defines that where you see your organization, what exactly you will be doing with your organization. Next comes communicate the vision, so that it create a zeal among the people and people get inspired, and people should feel motivated to really work hard to attain the vision of the organization. So spread the vision through effective communication. Jio executed an aggressive marketing campaign using Ambani's Reliance AGM announcement, advertisement, social media, partnership with mobile phone brands like the various other different brands. The message was very clear that Jio will make the internet accessible to everyone. Then next level comes is to remove the obstacles, so identify and eliminate the barriers to the change, right? So Jio tackled regulatory challenges by securing government approval, created a pan-India fiber optical network, and offered free SIM with unlimited data for months to ensure widespread adoption. So there were certain regulatory issues by the TRAI of India, and they tried to get the approval from the government with the clear set of the vision. They try to overcome that issue. Secondly, they try to improve the infrastructure by investing heavily on optical fiber, and then they started working on providing the free SIM, free data services to the people. But in the process of providing the free data service, they realized the people are not having a mobile phone which are 4G VoLTE enabled. So they started launching the 4G enabled mobile phone also in the market to facilitate the access of the free data services to their customer. So that's how they try to eliminate the barrier. But for this, you need to have a vision. If you don't have a vision, how you will be able to see that this could be the possible error? Next is create a short-term win, achieve quick success to build the momentum. The small success of your organization is really going to gain help in gaining the confidence, and you start gaining the confidence will give you more boost to work more harder, and will give you a courage and will also help you to understand that your line of direction, your vision is correct or not. So Jio first major success was its 100 million subscriber milestone within 170 days of launch. This showed the feasibility of the business model and encouraged investors and stakeholders to further dive deep into, right? Initially, it was just free for 1 month, and then they kept on increasing till the 6th month, and they become the world first company to offer the free data services for 6 consecutive months. Next is build on the change. We have to keep on making the change, that it is a significant change. This change is inevitable, and you should be very loud and clear about it, and you should convince yourself first before you are really bringing the change in the market. So continue making improvement based on the feedback, right? The Reliance you start getting the feedback. Though you have promised to provide the 40 terabyte per second speed, but if it is not coming up, that means there is some issues of the infrastructure. So they start building the towers. They start ensuring that the towers should be built across even the remotest area of the country. So after the initial launch, Jio expanded its network coverage, introduced a Jio Fiber broadband, launched Jio Phone, affordable smart feature phone, and entered the new digital service like Jio Cinema, Jio Mart, Jio Meet. All these things he started doing just based on the feedback which they are receiving, and they want to capture the entire market with the help of the broadband which they have created. And then final step of the quarter's 8 steps model for bringing the change is anchor the change in the culture. Make the new practice a permanent part of the organization. So whatever the new practice you are coming up with, you should make it as a culture. You should make it that this is going to be the part and parcel. This is going to fix now. From now onwards, you will be working in this manner only. For now onward, this organization is going to be headed by this person. From now onward, this worker will be working in this manner. So you have to make your change as a culture of the organization. You have to fix each and everything for the rest of the people to adhere to. So Jio completely transformed India telecom industry, making the low-cost internet and unlimited data the new normal. The competitors like the Airtel, Vodafone had to follow the suit, and India became one of the world's largest data consumer just after the launch of the Reliance Jio in the market. So they has brought a lot of evolution in this telecommunications sector, and we could see from these 8 different steps that how you can really make your change, which could be very harsh, a very smooth and steady way of entering into the market, and even in the mind of the worker working in the organization. Now let's look into the next important model of the change, that is Levin's change management model. Kurt Lewin in 1947 he come up with this. So there are only 3 major steps. First is unfreeze, change and freeze. So whatever you've been doing, there may be some obsoleteness in the product or maybe some obsoleteness because of the advancement in the technology, then why don't you unfreeze that and start finding what could be the new solution to the new change market dynamics, bring those solutions to your organization and then try to pilot test it. If you find that this particular thing will suffice the market requirement or will help you to really cater the taste and preferences of the customer, then refreeze it and start working till the time you get the signals from the market again that whatever you have freeze has now become obsolete. Now again you have to look for some new advancement, new changes which are taking place in the market. So the things you have to keep your eyes open. Otherwise, if you are not keeping your eyes open, if you are not keeping a view upon the different factors of the environment or the components of the environment, you won't be able to get the sense that how different shapes, how different things are getting changed in the market. So you need to be very vigilant, you need to be alert, you need to be active, you should have a good R&D cell, you should be your system should be very flexible, agile in order to incorporate those changes. So let's look at what Levin has to say in terms of bringing the change in the organization. So first thing is unfreeze. Prepare the organization by making people aware of the need for the changes, right? So you have to bring this thing in the mind of the workers of the organization that this particular change is very important to be incorporated. So we are going to really dilute what we were doing so far. We have to start thinking that what next we should come up with. That existing product is now getting obsolete. Say for example, keypad phone, though keypad phone are still existing in the market, but the percentage is hardly 1%, right? So majority of the market has shifted from keypad phone to the touch screen phone. So that kind of the shift and radical shift is utmost important, and this what was not done by the Nokia. As a result, they failed to sustain and survive in the market. This was what not done by the Kodak phone also, that Kodak camera also. Because of that, they were also not able to survive in the market. So unfreeze, prepare the organization by making people aware of the need for the change. In demonetization in 2016, the Indian government unfroze the old cash-based habits by banning 500 and 1,000 notes over the night, and as a result, the rest of the things got absolutely changed. So you cannot deny. So such kind of a pressure when it comes to a government. Here the example is of the government. So you can't deny that over the night things get changed. You have to adhere to it. You have to accept it. In the same manner, if any unplanned thing is happening, you have to adhere. You have to accept those changes and incorporate the required change in the organization as quickly as possible, as swiftly as possible. Then implement new policy, technology, or the behavior based on that. Then in order to make that demonetization successful, they adopted a digital payment mechanism. People quickly shifted to Paytm, Google Pay, UPI after the demonetization. That's how this was the solution plan of the change which they are trying to bring in the market for the whole country. Then refreeze, make a new change permanent in the culture, that is the rise of cashless economy which is now increasing in our country. Digital transaction become the norm without continuous with the continuous updates of UPI and Aadhaar base, right? So this is how government has brought the change in the market. Like this, they were looking for import. They were struggling with the issues of the corruption. They were struggling with the issues of the black money. Now how to get rid of this problem? They realized that demonetization is the only solution for it. So they try to unfreeze certain things. They stopped a ban certain certain monies. Certain amount of the money was banned in the country, and based on that they come up with the other solutions. So how you will be doing the transaction, how you will be doing the further rest of the daily necessity dealings. Then in that case they adopted the digital payment, and they keep on upgrading the platform in order to make the transaction most secure one. So that's what the live and change model is all about. Then next is the Adker model, or we can say ADKR model, given by Jeff Hayat in 2003. What he mentioned, that there should be some awareness, right? He has mentioned 5 essential steps for bringing the change in the organization. If the leader are having an awareness, if leader is having a desire, if he has a knowledge, ability, then only he can reinforce. Otherwise, he won't be able to. This is what the ideology of this Adker model. So ADKAR, like A stands for awareness, D stands for desire, K stands for knowledge, A stands for ability, R stands for reinforcement. So awareness make people aware of the change is needed, that why this particular change is needed, like Aadhaar card linking with the bank. The government spread the awareness that why this is important, right? Awareness about the linking of Aadhaar for direct benefit transfers. Desire, so create a motivation for the people to support this change, right? So electric vehicles in India, incentives like subsidies and the taxes benefit motivated a lot of people to go for the EVs. If subsidies and the rebates or the rental battery options were not there, people might not be looking for the e-vehicle. So you have to create a lot of desire also among the people. And in case of a Aadhaar card, when it was getting linked with the bank, they also created a desire among the people that all your benefits are associated with that. You won't be able to access your bank, you won't be able to get the KYs without linking your bank account with your Aadhaar card and your PAN card. So that kind of a desire and the knowledge has to be provided. Next is knowledge, that is educate people on how to change, like Swachh Bharat Mission, massive campaign educated people about the hygiene and the building of the toilets and other essential washrooms on the public places for the public utility. Then next is your ability, that ensure they have the skills and the tools to implement the change. So Skill India Mission training program help youth gain technical and the vocational skills. So if you want to bring some substantial changes in the organization, you need to have a large pool of a skilled manpower also. So for this, government is having a focusing on vocational training, focusing on training the people, focusing on Skill India. Then if Skill India is mission not going to function, then how Make in India will be possible? So if you want to make in India possible, you first have to start with the Skill India mission. And if you want the people to be very much they must adhere to the ethical norms, the transparency or the accountability. They should not land up into any unethical practice or the things which will lead to the corruption. You really have to educate your people about their rights and the awareness. Otherwise, they can be swayed by the people towards the destructive side. After ability, you will be focusing on the reinforcement, that sustained change through the policies and the culture, like work from adoption. Post-COVID, companies like TCS, Infosys introduce hybrid model to reinforce the remote work culture. So these are the certain ways through which you can really brought the change in the organization. So first, there has to have an awareness, then second comes your desire, third comes your knowledge, fourth comes your ability, and fifth comes your reinforcement. So if you being a leader, you are missing out with any of these elements of the ACCA model, then there is a possibility you won't be able to execute the change so swiftly and easily in the market. Now let's move to the key drivers of the change. What are the different key drivers of the change? Like digital transformation. If digital transformation would have not taken place, do you really think they would be able to brought so many changes like demonetization? After demonetization, do you think it is going to really help the government to get rid of the level of the percentage of the corruption? Corruption level has gone down, the flotation of the black money has gone down. People started moving from the cash transaction to the cashless transaction. Even the vegetable vendors or even the small shopkeepers are now having a UPI barcode with them. So this is bringing a change in the mode of the transaction and bringing lot of transparency, and this transparency will lead to accountability and ethical behavior from the side of the people. But for this, there is a need of a digital transformation. So digital transformation has really helped the government to execute the cashless transaction, UPI, AI, IoT adoption. Then comes your economic reform like GST and Atmanirbhar Bharat is another economic reform which is helping the government to generate a lot of job opportunities and the job avenues for the people. Then next comes your market competition like e-commerce disrupting the traditional retail, changing customer preferences. These are all the essential key drivers for bringing the change in the market, right? So what are the various innovations in the organizational change, like product innovation, right? So if there are different ways on the basis of which you can get into the innovation, like you can come up with certain additional features in your product. You can come up with some additional, maybe the style of the product got changed, maybe the color or maybe the symbols or the logo or other things you are making, you are bringing some change in the product, you are completely redesigning the product, is going to come under the product innovation. Like new digital payment system is an innovation in the product. UPI, all these things are the innovation in the product, like Zoom, the Google Meet, when the people are meeting on the real time, these are the product innovation. Then comes the process innovation. You try to innovate how you were doing the production, right? What different steps you were taking in order to do the production is going to come under the process innovation, like automation in the manufacturing. Then next is your business model innovation. When you absolutely change the way you were doing the business, like Netflix were earlier just a DVD rental. They were putting the DVD on the rents, and now they are providing the complete online streaming. That is the business model innovation, which is based on the subscription based services. So in order to get the subscription, right, in order to really you have to provide the services, you have to come up with some content, entertainment content to your people who are really taking the subscription of your channel. Amazon Prime and other are having a business model innovation. Now, what are the different strategies for successfully implementing the change? Like the strong leadership fostering the change mindset, right? So the different the people who are working in the organization, if they are not strong by their head is not strong, and do you really think they will be able to bring the change in the organization? For sure, the answer is no, because until unless your heads are strong, you are very much clear that what exactly you have to execute in the market, you won't be able to convince the people. And if you won't be able to convince the people, how you will be able to generate the desire and motivation among the rest of the people? So strong leadership is at most important for fostering a change mindset, because they are the one who will be convincing the people in the market. Next comes your employee engagement through training and the communication. So employee engagement is at most important. Why? Because they will be helping you to get engaged in the organization, but employee will not be engaged until unless they have a clue, they have an idea how exactly they have to work. So you have to provide the subsequent training to them. You have to communicate that what are their gray areas, what are the areas where they really need to work on. So employee engagement through training and communication is going to really pave your way and bring the clarity among the people that what exactly they are going to do in the organization. Next is your agile business model, allowing the adaptability. So your business model should be flexible enough. If your business model is not flexible and not able to cope up with the different changes which are taking place in the organization, then it is going to be a devastating situation for the company. So you have to have a business model, you have to have a structure of your organization which is flexible and can easily tweak with the change in the strategy. Use of technology to facilitate seamless transition. And without the acceptance of technology, now technology is becoming pervasive. It is not only the IT company who is going to get affected with the advancement of technology. Now each and every organization is going to get affected with the advancement in the technology. So you have to be very adaptive to understand and learn the different technological concepts. Now, what are the barriers to change and innovation? So how you are going to overcome those barriers of change also. Resistance from employee due to fear of job loss or workload increase, right? So you have to foresee that people may show the resistance, because none of the people would like to come out from their comfort zone. Everyone wants to work in their comfort zone. So you as a leader who is very headstrong is the one who can really convince the people that for what reason the change is going to be incorporated in the organization. Lack of leadership commitment could also be one of the factor which may lead to the barriers to commitment, like in case of Stephen Elop in 2010 and 13, when he was a CEO of Nokia, he was not a committed leader. As a result, Nokia could not adopt the right change which was needed. Cultural and structural inertia, especially in the traditional family run business, because most of the time the people who are having a little outdated approach of doing the work and the business, they really are not ready to adapt themselves with the change environment or the requirement of the upcoming generation, will also be a factor that they will fail to adapt the change. Like in case of a Kodak, it has been observed. Financial constraint limiting the technological adoption. If a company is financially weak and have not been able to develop a different sources from where they can raise the fund in order to incorporate the changes of the technology, this could also one of the factor for not able to bring the change in the organization. Now let's have a quick look to this final slide where you will understand what are the future of change and innovation in India. So when it comes to AI is meant for enhancing automation, predicting analytics, customer services. Say for example, HDFC Bank, EVA, chatbot, Zomato, AI driven food recommendations. So all these things are helping you to provide you the better services with the help of AI. So they are assessing the taste and preferences of the customer. They are evaluating the they are trying to evaluate the behavior of a consumer or the liking of a consumer based on the type of a product you are ordering, and on that basis they will be giving you furthermore recommendations. Blockchain improve the security and transparency in different transactions. So NPCI exploring blockchain for UPI security. Tech Mahindra contract management solution is also trying to work on providing the better safety and security for the transactions. Then IoT enable smart automation industry like Tata Motor Vehicle Tracking System, Tata Power Smart Grid. So they are going to help the riders of a Tata products that where the product is. If anybody try to steal or thief, there are theft of the car, then in that case there is a possibility while with the help of a vehicle tracking system you can track out where your car exactly is. So IoT enables smart automation in industry is helping the people to upgrade the better services for their customer. Another one is the subscription based and the digital first business model gaining traction in the market. Like subscription based revenue model are becoming more common, like OTT, like for example JioFiber, Airtel Extreme, Tata Play Binge. These are OTT platforms which are gaining lot of attraction, and lot of good stuff and entertainment things are coming up via these channels, and they are based on the subscription. And if you are looking for getting the subscription for the next month, you should continue to provide certain best services. If you fail to provide best services in any of the month, there is a possibility there will be a decline in the subscription of your channel. Then digital business, first business prioritize online platform for the operation, like digital first like Nokia. So for example Nykaa, the beauty e-commerce, Zerodha come up with the discounters, stock brokerage. These are the best examples which is coming under the digital first business prioritize online platform for the operation. Next, coming from the side of government policies influencing the business landscape, that government initiative drive digital adaptation, different adoptions and industrial growth, like Make in India. For making this possible, they asked different big companies to establish the manufacturing plants in India. Apple, Samsung manufacturing plant, Tata Group get the joint venture, get into some strategic alliance with the Japanese company for the better production or the better supply of a semiconductor. Digital India, like UPI, revolutionizing the payment, Aadhaar enabled payment system, improving the financial inclusion. So these are all the possibilities which people are really grabbing in order to improvise their business model. They are these different advancement of technology are helping them to come up with some innovation in the features, in the services, right? They could now better provide the services to their customer. Like you take an example of Zomato. Zomato is sensing based on the type of a product you are ordering, and the based on that ordering, they are giving you the subscription, they are giving you the suggestions further, right, to provide you the better services. So dear students, before we call a day, let's have a quick recap of what we had done in our today's lecture. In today's lecture, we tried to get to know that change is inevitable, right, for the business survival and the growth. You cannot surpass or ignore the importance of bringing the change in the organization. So change is the one who change will survive, and the one who don't will not be able to survive. right? So innovation is the driving force behind successful transformation, and for really innovating the things, for coming up with some new feature or the new idea, you always need to be vigilant. And it is not always necessary that innovation will come from your R&D lab only. Innovation may come from the IT sector also. Like I have just given example of blockchain, AI, IoT, right? There are different other tools where the innovation is taking place, right? IT department, IT technology department is doing like anything, right? This particular sector is booming and growing. So you can make use of their advancement, their growth, for finding how I can make use of such technology advancement in my product, right? Say for example, a company like cosmetic company like Nike, right? They use the advancement of technology in order to come up with the first cosmetic company on a platform, right? So this is how you can make use of the different innovation which is taking place across the different sectors or the industries in the country or globally. So innovation is a driving force behind a successful transformation, but it doesn't mean that innovation should come up from your own R&D. It can come out from the others R&D, but you should have a sense that how you are going to make use of that R&D. And the final key takeaway is organization must foster a culture of continuous learning and adaptability, right? You should never be satisfied with whatever you have attained. If you gain the satisfaction, you will stop growing. So you should always have a hunger of learning new things. So you remain hungry and stay foolish. This is the only way you can grow and survive and sustain in the market. So with these words, I'll take off, and thank you students for listening to this lecture. And I'm sure you must appreciate that how important is to be to bring the change in the organization and to remain vigilant and look for how innovation is going to pave the way for the organization. For further learning, you can refer to this book of Charles S. W. Hill of 13th edition on strategic management. Thank you.